Now, the moves I made.
I can lock it, yeah.
This is nice. That was like bad attempt to the joke. Kiyoshi Abraham, good seeing you. Kiyoshi Graham had to cancel last second. He's being a bodyguard to some dignitary today. Does a lot of that type of security work. So I spoke to him yesterday, and couldn't make it. Big hot shot. He's got to make sure no one kills him. So, why are we here? What happened to me? I mean, it was like springtime. I'm sitting back, bored out of my mind. I'm saying to myself, okay, you know, the 35th year of Kanzen is approaching in April of 2009. It's been almost 5 years since we had the party. Oh, Michael. Time does fly. And I said, all right, you know, I got to reflect back. That's what happens when you get old. And say, I'd like to see where Kanzen holds up in the scheme of things compared to everything else that's out there that I'm not aware of, because basically I secluded myself. Many years back, we stopped going to tournaments because it became such a political hassle. We made our imprint on tournaments. We did so well, it was ridiculous. Every time we went in there, we walked out with trophies. And I'm saying to myself, well, now, it's got to be 20 years maybe, I'm exaggerating possibly, that we haven't been at a tournament, which is good to go to because you can see what the outside world is doing. I said, okay, so how good are we compared to what's out there? I said, well, I'm not going to do this. I said, okay. First of all, I'm going to pull out the dusty box in my closet that has everything that I can remember from back in the early 60s and review everything and all the stuff I've accumulated over the years. And I've accumulated a lot of stuff. Not only 35mm films that were turned into videos, Super 8 films that were turned into videos, to show you how old this is, and also reams of yellow pads with notes I made over the years. In fact, I had difficulty understanding what the hell I wrote on some of them. And I'm saying to myself, okay, start there, and then you'll make a decision where to go. So I did. And to say the least, if I may just reminisce a little bit, it brought back a lot of memories. The earliest video, 35mm, that cost me $200 to put into video at the time, a guy named Kenny Van Sickle did it for me, was the 1962, well, I got it listed at 1962, it might be 1960, but let's say it's 62, that means I was 18 years old. And I think some of you showed that. That's the so-called The Making of the Black Belt movie and dojo fighting out up on 17th Street. And I looked at myself, I go, oh, I've seen that face before, my two sons. And it was very interesting how archaic that workout and that Kumite was. And I said, this is great stuff. And then I pulled out another video and I keep working my way up into the years. I find a video from 1978, which was incredibly stocked with stuff, where the Kiyoshis were in it, Kiyoshi D and Kiyoshi Magravito. In fact, it was up in Brooklyn Dojo on Caton Avenue, which was the greatest dojo of all times. And someone came up there with a Super 8 camera one day, I forget who it was, Freddie probably, and I said, you know, you have a camera, let's take some movies. And this is 78, I believe, and it has Kumite by all of us, all right? And this is the first beginnings of our block encounter, where it took them about 2 weeks to get it down once I showed it to them. That's how fast they absorbed it. And then I'm fighting Kiyoshi D. He's beating the living turd out of me. He's beating the hell out of me.
He doesn't remember it that way.
I was brutalized. And the various old Kiyoshis were fighting each other, and that was a famous Kumite. We couldn't get the sweep on film, remember? That's how good his sweep was. So there was katas there and so forth, and we're working up, and demos in Long Island, and there's one demo there that they put on Long Island with Kiyoshi Graham, had two guys stand on chairs holding boards up, and he used to love to throw this double jump front kick, hits the boards and goes through the ceiling tiles and just rains down and broke. Some phenomenal videos, which are very clear. And then I found old videos of the 68 tournament where Yamaguchi Sensei came in with Kosei Sensei, and where I don't know how I got the video of Kosei doing Super Empe, but I didn't know the ending. I mean,
Got it from me.
From you. It's good stuff. And just one video after another. I have old videos of Yamaguchi Gogen Sensei doing kata under the water, the whole 9 yards, and I'm building up and I'm loving every second of it because it's just so good stuff. But you could also see the evolution of karate as we know it. And one interesting thing, 1929, Miyagi Sensei visits Yamaguchi Sensei in Japan. That to me is the beginning of Japanese karate, even though Yamaguchi was teaching Rimsken University. I'm sure I mispronounced it. I got in here phonetically. I'll find it in a little while. And 1929, but you say to yourself, 1929 was really the beginning of Goju-ryu karate in Japan, and this is only 80 years later. She says, you know something? Even though karate was old, and in Okinawa hundreds of years before, maybe Nahati or Shorei-ti, it's really Japanese-wise, which is where we're from, not Okinawa, only 80 years old, and I'm saying to myself, my God, I'm in 50 years of those 80s. So you say to yourself, it's kind of young when it comes to that point, all right? And I know I'm throwing some random stuff out to you, but stay with me. So I went through boxes of stuff, reams of stuff. It took me weeks to get through this stuff. I found old Okinawan videos and stuff like that. I said, okay, how do we basically compare ourselves to anybody? Well, I said, okay, I'm very interested in what the Okinawans are doing. So number one is, let's research that. Found some DVD, but more importantly, Yoshi, Stu, and myself, we found some books on eBay, which I'm not familiar with eBay, which was phenomenal. And old, rare Okinawan books that finally translated into English. And I remember talking to him about it. I was very concerned because some of it would say being shipped from a small island off Okinawa. I says, let's take insurance out of this. I don't think I'm getting my book. You know, visualize this old little man putting a book in an envelope and putting Japanese stamps on them, mailing it to me. So I says, there's a chance I'm not going to get these books from this little island off Okinawa. But I was excited about it. So I said, okay, I'm going to pick minimally 5 masters to study for the next several months. And what we did was, we got the books, which I'll not tell you a little bit more as we go on, and I'll tell you who the masters are. Also, in my possession for the longest time, which I really never paid attention to, was Yamaguchi Gogen's book that came out after his death in the early 90s. There were only 2,000 printed, and you get the certificate, and mine was like 1,090, whatever it is. I have the book, some of you might have it. I says, it's time I read it, you know? So that would be one of my reference materials, and I read it from cover to cover and over and over and over and over and over and over. And I got the Okinawan books in, and these are the senseis that I paid attention to. There's a guy named Yojita Shozo Sensei who trained with Yamaguchi Sensei at Ritsumeikan University in Japan, okay? So they're basically on the same level. Let me stay with that for a moment. It was always confusing to me who taught Yamaguchi. So I really researched the heck out of it. Supposedly, and I don't know the individual's name, prior to Miyagi coming up to Japan, from Okinawa to Japan, and you got to make that distinction, one of the students went up to Japan and went to that university to teach a little bit. I have his name somewhere buried at home. But that's the way the story goes, and I only saw one reference to that anywhere, and I'm telling you, I researched it. As I mentioned earlier, Miyagi came up in 29. So you're saying to myself, he was the head of that particular club, Yamaguchi. Who taught him prior to Miyagi? This individual supposedly taught him. I don't know what the story is.
What style, Shihan, if I can ask, was Yamaguchi doing before Miyagi?
More or less Nahati, okay, which we'll go into in a little bit. So, Yujiro Shozo. Then Miyazato Eiichi Sensei was a direct student of Choja Miyagi, so I got a book directly from him, so that's already 2 books. A very famous Okinawan Goju-ryo karate man, Morio Higiyama. Very famous last name, but no relationship to somebody I'll talk to about in a moment. He was a student of Miyagi Anichi, who in turn was a student of Miyagi's. But this guy's very well known. There's a lot on him as a young man, and now he's an old man, but he's excellent. Somebody who I was very familiar with, Chichiki Toguchi, Shurikan Goju-ryo, direct student of Miyagi. So I had those 4 guys. I had Gogen's Sensei's book, that's 5. And then we found a book I got very excited about, Goshi. Goshi Yamaguchi is the youngest son, and I'll explain to you how that works in your pecking order. But he came out with a book in '93 on Kumite, which I got very excited about. I said, oh boy, I'm going to learn something here. A Kumite book from a Japanese master, this is going to be phenomenal. So those are the reference materials I used, plus other DVDs from other Okinawan people and Japanese instructors, which a lot of it was very repetitive to me because I've seen it all in one form or another, but nonetheless, I started absorbing. And the more I read and the more I saw these videos, the more I loved every second of it because it was just a reawakening to me of where I'm from and where I went to and where I'm going to in the future as far as Goju-ryo karate. And let me go further. Where did it all start? The highest authority of Nahati. Now in Okinawa, let's get back a second. There's no karate in Japan. It's Okinawa. And there's 2 main areas, Shorite, I should say Shorite, and Nahate. If you consider how Okinawa is so close to China's mainland, you'll get to understand how any type of martial arts started in Okinawa. Because it was constant trading back and forth between the mainland and Okinawa by merchants. And also, many Chinese people immigrated to Okinawa and started we call fishing villages along the coast. And these people brought with them martial arts training because that was very prevalent in China for many years. All right? But if you look at Chinese arts compared to Okinawan Japanese art, you do see a distinction. There is a distinction. The fluidity in Chinese arts are much more so than it is in Japanese and Okinawa. Japanese Okinawa, as soft as they are, they tend to be more rigid, harder. I like to call it like a bonsai attitude, you know, one of the type of things like that, which you won't see in Chinese arts too often, all right? So they did take those Chinese arts over the last couple of 100 years and what? Massaged it somewhat. They came up with their own Nahati or Shore. The highest authority of Nahati was Kanro Higiyashiyona, all right? This is Miyagi's teacher, better known as Higiyona. Okay. And he learned his art in China, and he learned Chi-Chi, which is a Chinese boxing. In fact, a lot of people that went to China over the years learned Chinese arts to the point of the Chinese boxing rebellion where it stopped. They wouldn't take any more students in. But nonetheless, Higiyona Sensei, learned Chi-Chi or Chinese boxing, which is one word or 2 words that cover a whole realm of Chinese arts, okay? Basically, the Hung style of Shaolin Chuan, and it's a hard fist experimental style of Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi has soft and hard, and Shaolin Chuan was a hard style, basically. Miyagi Chojin Sensei was a student of Higiyama. Very interesting that Miyagi was a very rich guy. He was adopted by a family that had a lot of land and actually owned ships. That's one reason why it was easy for him to travel overseas. And what he did was he gave Higiyona room and board. I want you to do nothing. I'll take care of you. Just teach me. And that's what he did. Among other students. Higiyona taught other students. But 1904 through 1908, Miyagi Sensei went to China and stayed there for 4 solid years. Pa Kwai Chang, 8-diagram palm is one of the things he learned there, okay? That plus Tai Chi Chuan basically is the prevalent soft fist of the internal styles, I call it. Not to confuse you, but the soft is high. Goju-Ryu Karate is made up of Shaolin Chuan, Pa Kwai Chang, and Nah-Ha-Ti. 3 individual styles. Hard and soft Chinese and a Okinawan brand of self-defense which was matured over a long period of time, basically from China. I remember having a discussion with Kiyoshi D not too long ago. You know, if you trace the roots back of these martial arts, they believe it started in India and worked its way into China. And once in China, worked its way to Korea, worked its way to Japan, and worked its way to Okinawa through merchants, basically, or people visiting back and forth.
Excuse me, my research showed that Shaolin Chuan comes from the original Shaolin monastery. That's where the roots come from.
That's exactly correct, thank you. But in that Shaolin Chuan is a new number of minor styles. Okay, it's all basically taught in one area, and then it spreads out the monkey style, the whooping crane style, whatever it is. And totally interesting. To digress a moment, I think I told you on PBS they had a wonderful program, and I just happened to catch it. It's going to be on again. I mentioned to you guys last time. I'm trying to find the next Chinese karate master for movies. It was like American Idol for Chinese martial artists. And they scour the entire China and Taiwan trying to find this one individual who would be the new Bruce Lee type of, Jet Li type of person. What was phenomenal about it, they would take thousands of people showed up, brought it down to 20 guys, and basically out of the 20 guys there were 10 different styles. Some of the most weirdest stuff I've ever seen, and yet some of the most beautiful stuff. And part of the contest, again, just like wrestling home, was you had to do something other. It's like a Miss America. Miss America. Miss America is beauty, but they either have to sing or play a violin or something, all right, and tell jokes. In this particular case, the individual that's running for this title had to be a kung fu expert and had to have another talent. So you show these guys doing acting and singing with Chinese background. I was crying. And basically, they found one individual that could sing, good-looking guy, and became the next. But the amount of styles in China is mind-boggling. You think we got problems here in the States. The only thing is, over there, it's legitimate. Here, every 2 guys jump out and say, hey, I'm starting my own style. Okay? So basically, that's it. Interesting to note that when he started teaching Miyagi Sensei, there were no belts, and there was no name to any style. One of his students went up to Japan in the mid to late 20s, and maybe this is the individual we're talking about that went to see to the university, and they asked him after a demonstration, what's the name of your style? And he says, well, we really don't have a name. So he came back to Miyagi and said, we have to have a name because people are asking it. This is where the hard and soft came up. Goju-Ryu. The Ryukyu Islands alongside Okinawa. There's hundreds of them. It's basically the style of where from, what have you. And he never believed in belts. To take you a little further, the main organization in Japan, the Totokai, was a Empress family-run organization, which is very similar to a giant military academy that housed Budo, the martial arts of Japan at the time. 2 main martial arts were Kempo, not Kempo, Kendo, which is a stick fighting, and Judo. Now, Judo was discovered by a guy named Kano back when, I don't know, but the thing is, he introduced the belt system in Judo. Black belt and various styles of Judo. That was the only organization in Japan that was accepted as far as belts, and Kendo came along that way also, as far as various degrees of student masters and so forth. Miyagi didn't believe in belts. I'll show you how smart this guy is because it makes sense. He goes, ultimately he felt that that would lead to trouble, all right? That people will pronounce themselves masters in certain belt holders that they weren't. Basically, I don't want anything to do with belts, so forth and so on. Which brings you to say, well, who was the person who inherited the Goju-ryu style? And who was the 10th Dan? No sooner Miyagi passed away, everybody declared themselves 10th Dan. Any of the students that were directly students of him declared themselves 10th Dan. And they always wanted to follow the judo way of doing things as far as grading, and they went ahead and did it and said, well, I'm the guy. I also read a very interesting article that someone says they have Miyagi's red belt. You know, and there's a pretty famous Okinawan master, and I'm going, there is no red belt. The guy had no belt system. How could there be a red belt? Okay? So just keep that in mind, that the belt system really started in judo, and then when Miyagi passed away in 1953 or something like that, all of a sudden there was a lot of belts. Everybody got belts. But I think to really think about is, how did they recognize Miyagi in Japan? He went up to Japan for 2 years to work with Yamaguchi at that university. And the Todokai recognized his ability of this art that they weren't familiar with. So the Empress family and whoever ran the organization gave him and awarded him a Renchi rank in 1934. Renchi rank, exactly what you think it is, but it was only given to 7th Dans, and they had that in judo. He obtained the Kyoshi, remember, not a Dan, an honor, 1938, which is considered 8th Dan by the same organization. This is recorded everywhere, so it's for the truth, but yet no belt system. His number one student, Sigo Hisha, when Kyoshi received his Kyoshi, Higa Sensei received his Renchi in 1938. And that's basically the progression of honor dans or awards in karate, and also the recognition of Miyagi by Japan. He and Goju-ryu Karate was the first karate school, when I use school, I mean organization, school, whatever you want to call it, recognized by the Japanese government and Todokai. This is well documented also. So if anybody says otherwise, like Shotokan, we were the first school. No, that's not the case. It was a Miyagi school, okay? Yamaguchi Sensei had 4 children. The oldest is Gosei Yamaguchi, that we're very familiar with because we basically followed his teachings and kata through Sensei Ru. And of course, Kyoshi went down there a couple of times. And phenomenal karateka, and I also had film on him, which was very good. The next oldest son was Goshen, who died in a car accident. He was a salesman for a major Japanese corporation, died in a car accident in Europe. Okay. The next son was Goshi. And these Goshi, Gosen, these are all samurai names. That's not their real names. Like Gosei's real name is Doromi. But they, just like Dogen's not his real name, basically they were samurai names. And the daughter, Wakako, which you rarely hear about because in the scheme of things, I'm sorry to say, in karate, it's the men that take over first before the daughter. It would have been interesting to see if the 3 guys were not available, if the daughter would have taken over the organization. At the time of Yamaguchi's death in 1989, I thought that Gosei was going to take over. But as Yoshiki will tell you, Gosei was very well planted in Frisco. He had a nice Jewish Russian wife. He had a family, he had a great school. He didn't want the pressure, he didn't want the organizational problems. He didn't want the title, and hence he stayed in the States. So they worked his way down. Koshin was already dead, so Goshi took over. Okay? And he's currently the head of the organization. When he took over right after the death, he was an 8th Dan rank. Now he's 10th Dan. If anybody has to stand up because they're cramping up, I will not be mad about it. Get up. So he took over the organization. I said, all right, let me see what this guy's all about, which I did also. I spent a lot of time. My sensei, bring up the date, Sensei Urban, was part of the submarine corps in the Navy who spent, and again, don't know, supposedly 5, 6 years in Japan. His main instructor was Masoyama. Masoyama, at the time, was the 7th Dan Goju Karate. And also, another instructor of his was Richard Kim, who had his own style of Shurinchi Kempo. And Richard Kim, you guys ever purchased a book, Weaponless Warrior or something like that?
Weaponless Warriors.
Yeah. Is a walking encyclopedia of stories and history of karate, and he just passed away recently. And Nishiyama Sensei of Shotokan presented him with the 10th Dan at that funeral, which I'm sure everybody said, oh, how nice that is, and I'm saying to myself, that's a lot of crapola. If you're going to, you don't wait for someone to die to give him a Dan. I mean, if the guy deserves something, he should have gotten it way before him. He put it to the ground, but I guess somebody thought of it too late.
It's a great book, Weaponless Warriors. If you haven't read it, you should pick it up. It's a phenomenal book.
I met Masoyama in '62 because Aaron Banks threw the North American Karate Championships in his honor. Came up to the dojo. I met the man, not at the dojo. Dojo's another story. I met him at the eliminations the week before. There were so many black belts that came in from all over the country that had to do eliminations one entire week before the contest itself. And that's another story I'm not going to bore you with, but pretty funny. Richard Kim used to send us tapes, actually send us tapes, and during the Sunday class, we'd sit there and listen to his stories, which were phenomenal. So I never met the man. And of course, Yamaguchi Sensei Gogen and Gosei, I met both of them in early 70s, that's all I got, I can't remember when it was. And I met them both, which was a thrill.
Lopez's school, no?
What's that?
Was it Lopez's school that you met?
Up at Lopez's school, which is another story. He's a great story, but I don't want to bore you with it. 1967, I had it written down. Okay. Okay, that brings us up to date. I began my study, next year will be 50 years, at Sensei's, at the 17th Street Dojo, which was an infamous dojo, which produced not only me, but guys much better than me, a whole bunch of really excellent people. Then he moved down to Chinatown Dojo and was there for a long time. And then Nisei started with Frank Ruiz and myself, and then Kanzen as we know it, almost 35 years ago. I wanted to stay traditional. Everybody else started flaking out. USA Goju, Urban Sensei's style, tradition went down the drain. Nisei, fighting was everything. Even though they did kata, it was not what I wanted to do. There was so much more to learn, so I said, all right, Kanzen is the way we're going to go. And we had so many numerous meetings, all of us, Margarito, Armando, myself, Graham, Sullivan, and Fair about it. We were fortunate to have Armando go to San Francisco to pick up the information. In fact, Kiyoshi, Margarito, and myself, we were supposed to go to Japan in '81 or '82, and I was all set to go. And then I said to Reggie Sullivan, I said, you know, let's show some courtesy, write a letter to Gosei and say that it's all right for me to go. I think we were going to get a yes, and we got an answer back, no, it's not right because my father's not well and he can't spend any time with you. The mistake I made is, okay, we should have went anyway, all right? Not so much to bother Gogen Yamaguchi, but it would have been nice to go to Japan and work out some of the dojos. But I was so disappointed from the letter, I just said, okay, fine, you know, that's it. Okay, what have I found? Okay, now we're down to the point of all the research I did. I started with keyholes. I says, let me see what's out there on DVDs and books and everything else, and I give you an explanation of how I did that and where I went for my information. Tons of information. My head was ready to explode. Keyhole-wise, we're in great shape. In fact, if I have a negative thing to say about our keyholes, we have too much information. Our thought all along board of directors is to give you as much as we know for you to work on. But in a way, the way we're structured, that causes problems. Because if I was to ask anybody here, when was the last time you did Keyhole 4, a whole bunch of hands won't go up, all right? But yet that's the most spectacular keyhole, only because it's very difficult to put in the curriculum. When we had our dojo in Freehold, I had certain days, and I was very fortunate, days to white belt, green, purple, and Sundays we do Keyhole 4, and sometimes Keyhole 3. Remember those are good old days? We covered everything. Don't know if that's happening now. I don't know if it's happening in Maryland. I had some nice emails back and forth with Mies. He couldn't make it up here. He's got a 5-month-old child, and Debbie Thomas has a hernia. She couldn't make it. And I don't know what's happening in Long Island as far as what keyholes are being taught. I've lost track of everything, and I'm not going to ask it, because in my own opinion, you're not covering Keyhole 3 and 4 enough, okay? And if you are, I'm going to be wrong. Our keyholes are unbelievably good. There's nothing to really improve in our keyhole. I could come out with a Keyhole 5 of all the stuff I missed, which would do what for you? It's just too much information, you know, there is such a thing. Kumite theory. Now I'm really excited. I'm going to grab a hold of Gosei's book and I go, oh yeah, great, finally a book on Kumite. This is wonderful. Our theory is 30 years old. He says, you know, maybe more than 30 years old. He says, who knows how good it is. Totally disappointed in the book, okay? There is no formal way of fighting anywhere on the planet that I know of, that I found, and I shouldn't say there isn't because there probably is somewhere. I could not find a structured, scientific way to fight in karate. They all say the same thing, basically in different words. There's such a thing as block and count and distance and everything that we have in our Kumite theory, it's not out there. And I read this book from cover to cover. And I said, did I miss something here? But yet, there's some good things in everything you read. Every book I read, I've learned something. Maybe 1 or 2 things or 10 different things. You have to. You got to keep your mind open. In Gosei Yamaguchi Sensei's book, it's a lot of this. Cross-blocking and punching, which is beautiful to look at, all right? Got a lot of pictures in it. It's beautiful, not functional. Yakuzuku Kumite, which is prearranged fighting, was the next thing I took a look at. You're talking Ippon, Nihon, Sanpon Kumite that we have. Ours is as good as anybody's. And that was developed by Kyoshi Dean and Renshi Fair 35 years ago, right? But it could be improved upon. Not their Ippons or our Ippons, but we can add some interesting other ways of doing Ippons that I discovered. And Kyoshi Stu brought out to me also, which is a different way to do Kumite Ippons at a higher level. We'll get into that one day, not now, okay, because that's not my biggest concern during this seminar. Again, I'm concerned about overload, memorization. If you bring more Ippons into the organization, that requires more memorization, all right? Meaning, it starts to weigh you down after a while, everything you have to know. Good thing about keyholes, you don't have to remember the whole keyhole. All you have to hear the instructor say it, and you do it. Everything else, kata and Ippons, you have to memorize, which is very, very difficult to do after a while. It becomes an overload type of thing. But there were some really nice variations in classical techniques in Goshi's book, but not functional. Functional is, you should all be very proud of the Kumite theory. I can't find anything. I really can't. They all say the same thing. You know? Bunkai, 2-man sets, is nothing as extensive or like it that I could find. I can't find anything like it. Even though some of the Chinese arts have 2-man sets, I could not find it. 2-man, 2-women sets, I couldn't find it. So those are very interesting. The soft and the hard set is pretty exclusive to our way of teaching than anybody else's. The kata applications were good, I'm talking other bunkai, but could be expanded on. This is also something I would do on. But again, I have the overload problem of memorization. So I don't, right now, have formalized a way of doing it in my head to get to classical Yakuzuku and with the classical bunkai, more of it, to understand the kata into our teachings, due to the fact we have too much now because, going back to what I said, how many different kihons do we have and how many have you done recently? Okay, so that's a problem. If you have to stand up, just walk over to the side. It's not a problem for me. So, wow, we are fantastic.
May I jump in for a moment? Because I see a couple of wrinkled foreheads as you were speaking. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but when Shihan contacted me months ago that he wanted to do this, just the word Shihan's using now, I wanted to see what was out there. It wasn't about evolving forward, it was more about turning backwards to make sure that Shihan felt we were doing everything pure. And I said, well, you learned from Urban Sensei. He goes, but how do I know he didn't change things? And I go, Kyoshi went to California, and he goes, well, how do I know Gosei didn't change things? So Shihan's premise, because when you were mentioning the senseis of the books, and so some people, Shihan said, I want to go before Urban and go before Gosei and find the true guys that trained side by side with Gogen Sensei and trained under Miyagi. And I want to make sure we're doing it as pure as it was back in 1929 or whatever it was. So it wasn't about evolving forward. I hope you don't think that way, because I want to see what's out there in the tournament. It was about, are we doing it as pure as it should be? And then, I guess a whole other discussion, you know, Kiyoshi's always saying, Shihan's brilliant, you don't understand his intelligence, and we hear it over and over. And I didn't know till recently how many things Shihan actually brought into what we do. Because as I was buying these books for him, he doesn't have an eBay account. So I buy the books and the videos, I'm trying to glance over everything at night before I give it to Shihan. And I'd be like, Shihan, man, the way they punch is crazy. When did Urban teach you the thing? Urban didn't teach me that, I made that up. And I go, and I'm watching the way these guys are blocking. When did the whole, he goes, I made that up. And I go, moving key, and I made that up. So I'm looking, I didn't even know all the things that Shihan really incorporated. I guess these gentlemen knew because they were part of it and saw it happen. So I guess that's a whole other thing of what Shihan really added to what we do that I didn't even know, which was pretty fascinating. But the premise of all these true masters was not, again, evolution as far as us changing, but turning it back to make sure we're doing it right, so to speak.
Absolutely correct, thank you. So just to recap, Kihon's second to none. Kumite, absolutely second to none. Ibban's phenomenal. You can add some classicals, and I have some thoughts on that, and other ways of doing Ibban's, and I don't know if we're going to do it or not because there's so much information. Bunkai 2-person sets, can't find anything. The problem we have is in kata. Okay, and I left my mind open on this. I said, this is where the problem is. I looked at Okinawan kata versus Japanese kata versus urban kata versus Kanzen kata, and I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I says, all right, I went ahead and I learned all the kata the Okinawan way. Just went ahead and did it. I says, nice, beautiful, I love Okinawan kata, but everything came back to one thing. Okinawans, Goju-ryu kata, tend to be very rigid. You know, where, if anything, I have to credit Yamaguchi Gogan, he made everything more fluid. Let me look for some more words. Softer, Japanese, harder, Okinawan. And yet our katas are very similar katas. I found out the differences between Okinawan and Japanese katas are minor. I found differences between Gosei's kata and Japanese katas as Goshi teaches them minor differences. Everybody has made changes, period. Now we went ahead to San Francisco and we got Gosei Yamaguchi's katas as we thought they would be toward Japan. And after looking at Gogen Yamaguchi doing kata in the 1950s and 1960s and 1970s, they go, whoa, 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 all right? There's been some changes made. And then when I saw Goshi doing katas, Basically very similar to how the old man did it, with a couple little quirks and changes in there. So kata evolves by itself. I always said, watch out, it has a life of its own. If an instructor makes a mistake, it becomes part of the kata and goes on to the next generation oh, this is the way you got to do it. That's what you would say. So going back to what Kyoshi students, I want to go back, I want to see what we're doing. Gosei gave us, if I may call him by his first name, don't tell him, gave us all the katas to Sanseru. Seisan, Seisochin, never got it from him. It's basically a blend of what I taught and some change. I'll be honest with some changes I made. Okay, something to consider. After everything I've seen in Okinawa, Japan versus Gosei, we have to make changes, preferably to the Japanese katas. Sorry, we have to make some changes, and I'm hoping to show you some today if I don't fall down from standing up so long. Okay. Lastly, we are not soft enough. Hence, really, the reason why I'm giving a seminar. We are just not soft enough. We have stuff to show you on that. Let's review the katas, okay? Taikyoku are fine. Basically, as we do the katas, basically the way everybody else does it. Don't touch it. On the Geki side is interesting. Okinawan and Japanese. When I say Japanese, mainland. I'll be slipping all over the place with this. The main difference in the Geki side is Ichi-ni. I'll give it to you right now. Ichi, basically, you come out with the block, we go in with a Zenkutsu, Sanchin. We go back to the Tetsui, they do a Gein upright. Okay. Where we Shuto in a Sanchin, they Shuto in a parallel stance. Every single one of them. Now, we are sitting in a catbird seat, meaning we don't have to do anything. You know what I'm saying? But we could take a look at everything and say, all right, board of directors feel we should make this little change here, we'll go to doing it this way. I don't see us making any changes in the Geki side. In Geki side, Ich, they go straight back, come back this way. Geki side Ni is basically the same kata as Ich. Sanchin stance instead of Zenkutsu, side, both hands open, but they do go on a 45-degree angle to do the Muwashis. Great. Now, I'm not touching them, they're fine. I'm not touching all the 10 Taikyokus. Okay. Then we move up. I'm going to leave Sanchin for last. Okay. Tensho, some differences. Here versus all the way to here. The Okinawans and the Japanese, when I say Japanese, I'm talking about Kojukai. They stopped here. Variations on, if you see the old man do it, he does it like a claw, basically. Very pretty. I would not want to duplicate that as far as I'm concerned. That's his baby, and he'll take it to the grave, and he has the way he does it, and that's the way everybody should remember him doing it. And I looked at Tensho, and I said, leave it alone. Tensho is fine.
Gosei said that those were shokatas that the father did.
I believe it, because he used to do a Sanchin Tensho combined.
Yeah, he actually said that the claws were his katas and they were for show purposes.
And, you know, we'll do respect to him, we don't need to do it, and that's his. Whereas I Saifa, basically the same kata, okay? The only thing is we have a press block, or say uke in the end, they don't have the press block. Maybe a couple other tricky things in there, and I go, fine with me, okay? I'm not touching that baby, it looks good. With the Seiunchin, basically the same kata. Basically the same, because when I'm saying basically the same, the way Gosei does it, maybe he doesn't do it the same way anymore, and Goshi does it, basically the same. I'm fine with that. Sanseto is different, all right? And I'll show you those differences later. Seisan's got differences. Hopefully show it to you if I have the energy. Seisochin is different. Some differences. I'll show you that later. Seipai is different. I'll show you that later. Kurufa is slightly different. Finally, super impact. We have the ending. All right? Just remember, I took that kata off of Phil karateka, and they were doing a benefit tournament for him in Staten Island, and I was asked to do something. I don't like to demonstrate, and I saw the kata. I said, I don't see the ending. I'll just make up the ending, and I'll do the kata at the tournament. All right. And I worked that kata till my eyeballs popped out of my head, because here I am. You're by yourself on stage, and I did the kata, and I think the audience liked it, and I couldn't find the story. I couldn't find the staircase to get off. I was so out of it, and I'm like this, and I hear Michael Vito yell, "Over here, the staircase over to the side." And I'm like this, where's the staircase? And there must have been. So I find the staircase and take it down. What do you call it? Michael Vito, Yoshi Michael Vito takes me to the bathroom. I'm dry heaving. I was sick as a
Shihan was over there.
I'm dry heaving. I said, don't let anybody in the bathroom. I mean, I can't breathe. I was in a different planet. I didn't know the kata ended. And outside the door, a very cute story about a bunch of very high dan karateka, Chuck Merriman in particular, wanting to talk to me because they wanted the kata. No one ever saw the kata before. And Margarito Kiyoshi said, "Oh, you can't go in. He's meditating." Right? And I come out, soon I come out, and it must be wise it goes to Sherman. All these guys are below me, over me. And they go, let's train. I says, what do I want to train with you people? So, side story to get back to, we finally had the ending, which is much nicer than what I did, and much more complicated, and much more difficult, okay? And the guys who know Super Ampe are going to love it, okay?
Shihan, if I may, we had a film of Super Ampe. It must have been 8mm.
It was a blackout.
At the end, the film ran out, you know, where you see like white flashes, and you could see Gosei sort of like starting here, and then 2 steps later you saw him over here, and then the film just disappeared. So we didn't have the ending, so Shihan made up the ending.
And I tell you something, I should have taught Merman and the rest of them. To this day, it would have been the Rosenstein version, which is terrible. So
It's not terrible, it's beautiful.
let me continue, and we're going to take a 5-minute break in 5 minutes, okay? Because the guys are stiffening up, I'm sure. And I'm going to leave you with this thought, then we'll break, and then I got a lot to show you within the next hour, okay? Everything, all roads lead to Sanshin. Everything I've learned leads to Sanshin. The Chinese way of doing Sanshin is very interesting. It was very fast open hands. And Higiona brought the fist into play. These are the variations that you can see now how Nahati developed. They took stuff and they changed it around because the Japanese and Okinawans tend to be much more brutal and harder and so forth. So you saw it. And when Higiona brought Sanshin back from China, it was 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. That's all. 3 steps forward, 3 steps back. Miyagi-sensei developed it where they had 180-degree turns and come back. And everybody started adapting to Miyagi's way of doing it. Miyagi really died of a heart problem. He had very high blood pressure, so towards the end of his life, he would teach class from a chair. I mean, we all know how to do that, right? From a chair, and I shouldn't do that. Chair, and what he did was, he goes, no, don't turn your back to me. No more 180-degree turn. You come forward and go back. So we went back to the way Higiona did the kata. I now know at least a dozen ways of doing Sanshin. I am the world's Sanshin expert. You want to know about Sanshin? You come to me, okay? Because every one of his disciples made a change. Right? Togoshi, to give you an idea, does Yamaguchi, but when he makes the first 180-degree turn, he keeps going. Keeps going backwards for about 4 or 5 moves. Then he decides to come back. And then he comes across the floor again with another time. So, I said, this is wonderful. I'm practicing these Sanshin. I'm losing my mind. But basically, I resolved that there's 2 most important, Higiona Sanshin and also Miyagi Sanchin is the most important, okay? We have to get more Sanchin into the curriculum. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I also feel we need more kata, period. I now have 6 katas to bring into the organization, and it'll probably go into 10. My problem still lies in the fact that it's going to be an overload. And I believe there should be requirements, and I think they'll make you a better karateka in the long run.
Sean, are you looking to bring these in at the black belt level?
Okay, some of them are very basic. For instance, I was going to talk about, I got 2 minutes before the break. The Sanchin we do at Greenbelt, to me, Miyagi Sanchin is one of the most advanced Sanchin I've ever seen. We take it for granted, the 180 returns, right? I think it's too much for Greenbelt. So I'm going to introduce, and the board of directors hasn't voted on it yet, a simplified Sanchin for Greenbelt. Miyagi Sanchin, 180 return as we know it, purple belt. Sanchin Dai H, green. Sanchin Dai Mi. Sanchin Dai Fan as a brown belt, which is totally different than the other 2. Because if you do nothing else, in kata, you must do Sanchin and Penshur. You have to. That is the backbone. That's everything I've learned. And from the time I was white belt, I was always Sanchin. But you tend to drift away, you know what I'm saying? And Yamaguchi always says, you should do Sanchin before, the first thing during the class. You bow in, you warm up, you do Sanchin. And he's right, because it puts so much oxygen into the system. It just feeds the brain with so much oxygen that by the time it's all over, the body's warmed up, the person's relaxed, and you have huge, keen on what's going to happen next, because you just filled your brains and muscles with so much oxygen. And that's something that should be considered, something that should be done. In fact, real classical karate, if I was teaching my classes on a normal basis, I would start off with Sanchin and end with Sanchin, all right? And now that there's 3 Sanchins, mix them. Becomes pretty exciting stuff. Dai means theme or series, so Sanchin Dai H is first of a series of Sanchins. Let's all stand up and catch a break. I know you're stiff, so we'll come back.
I'll just say something. I'd like to see Renshi Steinwald in this room, and everyone else just give us a few minutes privacy in this listen.
Let me get my little script as well. Next, we come out here for the next hour. I think you're going to find interesting, to say the least. Hey. Hello, how are you? Long time see. How you feeling?
Dismiss, stop. Relax. Go to the bathroom, do what you got to do.
Nice to see you. How's everything?
Right there. Okay, it's going to be interesting.
Kyosuke. Face the Chiat, press about it.
Okay, do me a favor. Bow out and go against the wall. I mean, I could do it anyway, but I want you to have the front view of it, right?
Now you stand right in front of the camera.
That's right. You have a camera here.
Sorry.
No, sit down. They're all hurting. Okay, before I actually perform anything, which is going to be really slow, I need a volunteer.
I was going to
You gotta tell him that I volunteer.
He's just like his own.
Okay, face.
In front of a camera.
At Urban Sensei's dojo, I volunteered once. I learned real fast. He says, Rosenstein, you and I do Nippons. I go, oh, Nothing he ever taught us. He took me at the fireman stuff up the air, dropped it down. I was dying. Okay, I want you to come out. Sanchin no Kamai, Sanchin Dachi. Ready? Go. Okay, listen. Don't leave the arm up. Sanchin no Kamai. Let's take a look at this first of all. It's just a refresher course to all of you on how it's supposed to be. Okay? The only relaxed spot on the entire body is basically in the neck area. Exactly correct. The elbows are in, one fist away from the side of the body, one fist away from the body itself, all right? The hands are on a 45-degree angle. If you do it properly, you will feel tremendous pressure on the outside of your deltoid because the hand is pushing out while the elbow is staying in. The chest should be expanded. The chest should be open. Back is one straight line all the way down the buttocks because the hips have been rotated forward. Okay, if you can't see, you can always see in there, right? We'll talk about the feet in a moment. I happen to like his feet. The knees have to be pointed in. So when you're in a Sanchin, the knees point in and then the hips come up. The tendency is to forget to do that. You just rip your hips up. The knee's supposed to be in because if I throw my front kick, it's going to hit your groin. Okay? The hips are up. This is tight. Okay. Relax. Now, there's such a thing in Okinawan, Goju-ryu, Japanese, throughout everything, called shime. All right? It's actually spelled S-H-I-M-I, which, the definition, if you looked at the stuff I sent you, it has to do with choking and restricting somebody, because it's a judo term, which Goju-ryu Karate uses for the following purpose: to check your Sanchin. All right? Okay, Sanchin no Kamai, Sanchin Dachi. Ready? Here, go. Okay, I tell you, for us, let's do sideways. So come, either way. Okay, Sanchin no Kamai. Go ahead, go. Now, I'm going to perform shime. Normally done by one person, it can be done two. My objective is to test this individual Sanchin stance and see if you did it properly, okay? First of all, you go down and you check the feet that the insteps are not up. You check the shins to make sure the feet, this guy's got a pretty good stance, is basically rooted to the ground. You go to the thigh, check the thigh, and make sure the thigh is solid. Only when you do men, don't do this with the women. Check the butt. Check the abs to make sure they're tight. Then you work your way down the back. Take your hand, you go straight down. There should be no butt at all. This particular guy has an Italian butt, so even though he's flexed totally, you can't get rid of the cheeks. The Rosensteins, except for Kyoshi Steve, have no butt. So when Kyoshi Stu and I do it, it's perfect. There's nothing back there. Okay, so here. You work your thumbs down by the blades and make sure the back is straight. Latissimus muscle should be tight. You should work your palm down. The shoulders have to be down. And you have to test the shoulders out. You've got to be very careful when you do that. Because right here is a pressure point. So you don't want to go close to the neck. Go this way, check. This guy's pretty solid. So go back down again, check it out. You're working your way towards the front. Okay, now push your hands out. Should hurt even more. Check the abs. Only the seniors do you do this. Don't do that to the juniors. Just check it. Check the chest. Make sure the chest is tight. And watch out, there's pressure points right here on the side, so don't touch them like I do here. Right? Straight down. Elbows in. See how they're going out? You work your way down. Punch him straight in the groin. Yeah. Work down, work down. Be careful, because on the side of the knee, there's other pressure points. Let's roll. See, pressure points here on the side of the knee, so you got to be careful. On the bicep themselves, there's another pressure point. If I stick my thumb in here, it'll collapse from the pain. So you got to be very careful not to really touch that. I check out the bicep, make sure everything's okay. Then, I take my leg, and I try to collapse the stance. Come on, man. Root it in, root it in. Show me. Now, I purposely moved away because what the tendency is you start pressing forward to go against me, right? So, here, okay. Gotta work on it, right? Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. All right. Good. Yummy. Get it back into Sanchin Okamai. Every now and then you'll see the Okinawan soldiers, boom, they start kicking you here, they start kicking you everywhere, you kick in the stomach. You don't do that. I like that idea, but I don't do it with Junior. Now here's the problem. You got to do this slow. You got to come up. As soon as I went like that, he went, he moved his butt back. All right? You have to come up and make sure by pointing the knees in and pushing the thighs out, I cannot come up with a coping gear. All right? As time goes on, you got to increase the speed. All right? It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, take it. That is Shemed, and that should be tested by everybody. In fact, maybe we'll do it a little later. We'll just make 2 quick lines and you go over. Especially at the earliest level, which would be green belt, when they're learning Sanchin, I should say Sanchin. Real pronunciation, Sanchin. The reason why I made you copy what I sent you, and why I said it was a gold mine, all right? That was a freaking first document. The first document I found, let me just digress for a moment and talk about it, that actually took Japanese terms and taught you how to basically not only translate them, but speak them, all right, phonetically. It is a gold mine. I have a program at home that if I put a Japanese word in, it'll give you the English translation. Put the English word in, it'll give you the Japanese translation. Put in karate terms, half of them don't come up. All right? These are the things that develop by these masters over the year. They've taken pieces of other words, Japanese true words, and made something happen to them that's really not a Japanese language. That is some document. Now, I purposely made you copy it also because the tendency is, I want this to be a reference material for everybody. I have a tendency to say Sanchin. Sanchin is a big difference, okay? And this is developed by me over the years of not saying the word properly. And I was saying the majority of the Juryo Karate out there are saying the words improperly. I found this guy Brunga, I think his name is, because I haven't spoken to him basically, back and forth emails, by quite accident. And this guy spent 12 years in Japan, and he's got BA in Japanese language. The guy, really nice. I was kidding around with him one day. I said, all right, listen, I can't find Kankaku anywhere. See what you can do for me. He's thinking about my mind. He comes back with sheets of stuff. He goes, I'd like to know the definition. I had the definition, crane on a rock, which made no sense to me. Okay? Crane on a rock. This is what I found. I found crane on a rock, he's telling me. But there's a bigger story behind it, if I may just a moment. Because it seems that it was changed to Kankaku. Originally it was called Chito, that you'll find in various styles. And what happened was this guy Matsumoro sensei many years ago ran into a guy named Chito, who's a great fighter, and he fought the guy, and they worked out together, and hence he named the kake he discovered, Matsumoro, as Chito, which means the fighter from the East. This guy was from the East. All right? So the real definition was fighter from the East, which later was turned into crane on a rock. He said, oh, Mr. Rosa, he says, Shiko Fishihan, whenever you need anything, just call me. All right? Email me. There is a disclaimer on there that this is only used for our students. You do not show any other students this. Let them, I don't know if they'll ever find it themselves. It's not to be shared with anybody. This is a Bible they should carry around. The reason why I asked you to print it out is because the tendency is if you have a hard copy, you'll look at it rather than going onto the computer trying to find the word. I have gone through that thing so many times and my eyeballs are popping out of my head. And I am starting a good deal of my pronunciation to correct. but there are some that are not. So I'm making the correction slowly, okay?
For example, Shuto means father-in-law.
Father-in-law Shuto?
Shuto means father-in-law.
Makes sense.
You know, I found out that we do a psychic yoga. It's really Sakuto. Yoga is from the side. But that's the way Urban taught it to me many years ago. Yoga, from the side, sidekick. Sakuto is nice, but I'll stay with yoga. I mean, I found so many things that are slightly different. And the Okinawans, basically, sometimes, how do I say it? Let's say we call Jodan-uki, let's say Agizuki, Uki. They have different names for the same exact block. I like the idea that Jodan's high, and you'll never lose track of it. Here's the Hiyashi Ona's Sanchin. I'm not doing a full blast.
Great. Good.
I've had this cough on the whole lot, so. Okay, let's look at that. 3 moves forward, a couple of 3 moves back. Let's take a look at it. I cannot find anywhere in the universe that anybody does Sanchin this way, other than Gosei. Okay? So everybody, Okinawans and Japanese, I can't tell you this enough, short. Now here becomes the interesting part. There's 4 ways, breathing-wise, to do Sanchin. Fast in and fast out. What we've been doing is Higiona's version of Sanchin. Fast in, fast out, fast in, fast out. Gosei happened to adopt that, hence we've been doing it. Fast in, slow out. Slow in, slow out. That's Miyagi's way, which is what I just did. Slow and fast out. Everybody got it? There's 4 ways of doing it. Okay. The fast in, fast out, and the Chinese do it. I don't like it. The thing is, I prefer, we'll have to discuss it, to revert back to the way Miyagi does it, is slow in, slow out. Okay? And at no time, even though Gosei does double breath, no double breath. The last movement should be HA. The last squeeze out. And that's supposed to get everything out of your body, and there should be no oxygen left. Any questions in that? What I see here, Renchis and black belts, that should be taught at the green belt level. That version, all right? It had 2 Geki size. That version, nothing's been changed yet. And the Tumawashi Taiki opens. At the purple belt level, we should do the Miyagi 180-degree turns. Now, the difference between Miyagi's 180-degree turns and the way they do it now in Japan is only one difference that I saw. Everything's the same. Is before you turn, okay? They don't come across right away with the punch. They go out, exhale, come back, and exhale again. All right, so they get that last punch in rather than coming out of the chamber. We'll have to discuss that. Otherwise, the entire kata is the same. Any question? I'm going to give you the next version of Sanchin.
Well, excuse me, the slow in, slow out is for all 3 we're talking about?
Yeah, but you know what the great part about it is? Once people got it down, the black belts should really change. Do fast in, fast out. You know what I'm saying? You experiment, fast in, slow out. You know what I mean? And you do the same thing with Tentra. Tentra, I'd like to really keep me personally, like one version, slow in, slow out. But that means you not only have 3 Sanchins, which you'll see the third one now, but you have 4 ways of breathing.
Excuse me, you said it's the same as we do now, minus the chambered cross, except they still only come here.
Oh yeah, everybody, correct. Said at the beginning, everybody does this. There's no coming across. Before the 180, goes straight out, goes back, and then go across, all right?
Yeah, that slow in, slow out was the way we did it before.
Yeah.
That's the way we always did it for years. And it would take forever. Sanchin would take forever, if you remember. I mean,
yeah, well, you know, the thing is, we try to do the right thing, and we go to Gosei, and we're in a certain way, and we'd like to match it with the fast in, fast out. But I tell you, I've been doing them all, different feeling each time. But the best feeling I have is when I do Sanchin slow in and slow out with that squeeze in the end. It's just phenomenal if you do it correctly, right? Again, I'm going to do this kata half speed. I don't want to make excuses why I can't, but I got to cough and all the other good stuff that goes with it. Ooh, man, what a high. Let's look at the difference here. Wait a second, you're not coming out with the right leg, you're coming out with the left leg. Okay? I'll take you through it. 1, 2. Exhale, bring it back. Hold your breath. You hold your breath here. You take a step. Intake. 1, 2, 1. Exhale. Bring it back. Hold your breath. Intake. 1. Okay. Lukites, if you were to take a picture from the top, semicircle on the arms. The elbows are out. All right? Down and in. Down and in. Not bad kata, huh? Yeah.
So it's no longer groin walls. It's not the up high chambers into the groin wall.
Well, yeah, Sanchin Dai Ni. The one we know. We're not doing away with that.
I'm saying on these.
These are different.
Okay, because the first one you did was also different. I just didn't know about what.
Well, that's, very astute observation. The objective is to do 3 different Sanchins that are slightly different. The first one, that's forward and back, when I'm here, watch the grab. The grab, but they come out in a circle. Grab here. This one here, right, they come back and out. Back and out. Nice flow. Back and out. Distinct differences on the hands in the last part. And Sanchin Dai Ni, we're not going anywhere with that. It's nice. We'll keep it. So now you got 3 Sanchins And very little change in memorization other than the strikes at the end. The breathing's the same thought processes throughout.
You do it again, Chair, please. Slow again.
4 times.
No, we're not breathing. Just the way.
Oh, hold on a second. Full?
No. You said you were doing it slow. That was way too fast.
Okay.
We'll get it slower.
I'm trying to set myself for the other one.
No breathing, just the way you just did it, slow.
Okay.
So the left
My
leg, first
break.
step out, you're going to do a mate going to the right.
Right. The mate, immediate chamber pull. The chamber pull as you turn, so you're here. Okay? Block. Okay. 1, 2. You move in. 1, 2. Move in. 1. Pull back, hold.
But you're not exhaling and inhaling on, in other words, you're punching, and this is just an exhale.
No, inhale.
It is.
So watch. Yeah, watch. So if I'm not here, I keep it pretty silent, but you're inhale.
Okay. So there is an inhale.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. I keep it silent. And if the student will make it loud, I wouldn't care. Okay, so basically, breathe chambers.
And then it's a mate, it's a right mate to the right, you're doing a 180-degree turn, basically.
Right. So I'm facing the opposite way.
Right.
Okay? I blocked already. I do the right side, do the left side, do the right, exhale here, bring it in, hold the breath. Holding the breath is very important, I feel. Block. 1. Now, 1 in place, count 4 more to yourself. 1, excuse the rush. 2, 3, 4. But the 4th one stays out. Hands open up. This is like a Yura Uke. I'll go over that when I do Tensho, the second version. I'm sorry, the second version of Tensho. So from here, scoop in, down and up, pretty move, here. Got it?
Rush. Thank you.
Was there any application to the?
Yeah, I'll show you. Where's my, okay. Okay. Do it real slow. Come on. That box is good. The punch comes, and I was going to wait for Tensho, but I showed it to you. The punch comes, it sweeps down. Here. It's called a Yura Uke. Right? Good. Any questions?
I read that from a washi too, in the new version.
Well, I tell you something, and the board of directors might not like it. I like it when you come up, and that's me. That's not anything I saw. Just add a little more to it, rather than our tendency is, after you do something, is you shoot straight back. So I'm saying to myself, man, I can make that nicer. So I said, all right, let's scoop it. So that's my little thought on what to do. Doesn't mean it should be there until you vote on it. But it just seems to flow more in the kata because we tend to shoot it straight back. Okay?
In reference to the breathing shihan, the 4 different ways, does each one have a certain advantage, or is it
No, it's
training the body in a way, or?
well, I tell you something. The tension in your body is going to be different because the tension is really there all along until you breathe. By the way, what I'm trying to say is shorter breaths, different type of tension. Okay? The objective is to get the energy down about here. It's called a tanden. T-A-N-D-E-N. Okay? Every instructor, everybody said, I knew about the tendon a long time ago. They go, it's a very interesting thing. You should get the oxygen to land in the tendon so it would come out as chi throughout the limbs. And everyone said the same is, we're guessing it's here. The only place that you can really find it is when you cough or really laugh hard. You ever laugh, really laugh that you can't get your breath? All the instructor says, that's where the tendon is. You know, you feel a little pressure down here, that's where it is. It's approximately 3 or 4 fingers below the belly button, all right?
Yeah, the third version on the turn, 180-degree turn, you're holding your breath.
Hold your breath.
Second version, we're still on the turn. That's when you relax and breathe in on the turn. That's
you actually, on Dai Ni, which we know, you exhale, you hold your breath, and then inhale. The same thing happens here. I've punched, All right? I've held my breath. I got inhale, otherwise the punch won't come out with an exhale. Good catch, all right? We're okay? All right, here's go tense your knee. Clock's not moving fast enough. All right, and then this is going to take some explanation. Okay, here we go. Okay, when you slow it up and you pay attention to it, you say, well, okay, here's 2 euros. Biggest problem you're going to have is this, keeping your hands up here. Normally we're here. Jodan Kakiyuki. Chudan Kakiyuki. Yora Uke. Harai Uke. Yora Uke. Teshuchi. Sukuki Uke. Uchi Uke. Shote Uke. Left side. Jodan Kakiyuki. Uke. Chudan Kakiyuki. Yura Uke. Rai Uke. Yura Uke. Suzuki Uke. Uchi Uke. Then comes the fun. And it's continuous. Watch this. Different Mawashi. Right, you gotta really catch that one.
So Mawashi in the same direction now, correct?
Exactly. So,
Both hands go in the same direction versus
Yeah.
opposites, which is
same direction, but this guy continues up. Versus, all right, so for me to cover that groin area, the inside hand has to continue to here. Yeah.
Shannon, a few things. First off, ironically, the way you did that Mawashi is the way a lot of our green belts do it because they can't do it the way we do it. So, you know, they're doing this double hand motion.
that's some on black belts, actually.
Sorry to hear that, Renshi.
That's some
Renshi
black belts.
Sensei.
But notice I say green belt. But anyhow, The other thing is, when we went in 2002, and there were a few people here, we went to another school in Millstone. It was Okinawan Goju. And what's interesting is that we went through this crazy training, and that's when they were trying to convince me that I should change from Kanza. I think I told you so years ago. But one of the things that was interesting is that we did kata versus kata with their top guy, and I did a few of the upper belt ones. Daisenpei Gua did a few of them. And what's interesting is that Tensho at their school was a black belt kata. Now, just looking at what you did here, I can't imagine anyone but a very skilled black belt doing that type of kata. To me, that was one of the most beautiful katas I've ever seen. But also, I can't imagine a purple belt, brown belt doing a kata like that. No way. In my mind, anyway.
That's the green belt.
I'll give you this. I got handouts, all right? Seisan was for Shodan. Seisan was for Shodan. Tensho Daini is for Shodan. I have it for Shodan. I wouldn't. Now, the Shodan Hogo for Shodan has to do 2 katas. Okay, but that's not the end of it. Any question? I got 3 more.
I got a question on the low blocks. They're both at the same angle here?
Very good point. Arai this, all right? It's a sweeping low block. Tsukuki is this way, and if anybody remember one of my Kumite classes, years ago, I had you blocking with your forearms, remember?
Yes.
I said, this is kind of advanced only because it takes a little longer. But this, think of this as a, okay, now muke, but this way.
Okay, so so here, we're coming in, it's on a different angle.
Yeah, it's on this angle here. And what it is, it's a scoop block. I got the guy's leg. Right? In fact, I think we have it in one of our bunkai or epons, whatever it is. That's this one here. This one here is a uchi-uke. The last one, when I come up to Suzuki, I don't exaggerate it like this, but that's basically the way it is here. Yours is what I showed earlier. Jodan Kakiyuki, you know. Chudan Kakiyuki, you know. Right? This is blocked also with the heel. Shote, uke, the heel. What I wanted to do in that kata is just get more stuff in there, all right? So I said, all right, if I was to do it, if I was to make up a Tensho Daini, well, what do I want? And I got in there.
Just one question, since everything we do in katas, usually we learn first in a kihon. So if we're going to incorporate new blocks, should these blocks be taught in
Well, that's an excellent point. The only thing is, going back to my initial, we're on overload on kihons. So now we have to practice. This is reverts back to what I said. I'd like to have some more classical leapons, and that's where we introduce them, you know, if we ever get to that point. Any other question? Okay, the thing is, Sanchin Dai-ish, Sanchin Dai-san, Tensho Dai-ni. Kuwawashi. Kuwawashi. The translation of Kuwawashi is dark eagle or black eagle. Okay? Kuwashi. You're all going to get a handout. Don't worry about it. Now, if I could keep my head together, I'll do it.
I feel like I gotta go back to school.
I got a question. Is that the pace?
More or less, yeah. But stronger. I mean, I didn't make it stronger.
No, I meant the pace in between. Just,
Yeah.
pacing.
I found out the hesitation hesitation after technique really adds something to the kata.
Yeah, that's
For
what I've
instance,
seen, it's real out in the kata. It was a-
1, 2, 3, I can immediately kick. Slight hesitation, kick. Slight hesitation, you know, just add so much more because the blows become much more distinct. So it's a bird-like kata. Let me tell you, this here goes up. There's the peck. You understand that? Peck. On this side here, peck. Visualize a bird with the wing out and the kick with their leg. And watch this. Peck with no kipes. Originally I had them this way. Someone smart enough brought it to my attention to better this way. So basically it. The wings extend, the wings fold, they actually go into the chamber, fold all the way into the chamber. Two nukites. Now you have a lunge, sanshin. So that's called kuwawashi. We'll just tell you where it goes later on. Any problem with that? Any questions? Short, precise, clean. In a way, it's a hard kata that to me looks soft, if you do it correctly, all right? Ask questions, please. I need a break.
Shannon, I have just a general question about these soft katas. And again, this is just a question. Is it, you know, part of what makes us so strong is the fact that we are so strong. And I'm just wondering, you know, by introducing softer katas, not that it's going to soften us, but is it, you know, creating a, you know, sort of a, I don't know, an environment where maybe, and I was mentioning this to Kiyoshi, that maybe like when we're going for a higher rank, we haven't like catching our breath or slowing down.
When I put that kata together, it's strictly, I'm saying we need something that looks entirely different. There's another bird kata coming up soon, all right? And really hurt me, but thank you. Soft but not soft. When you say, you know, when you look at something that's half decent, I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do half decent stuff. The thing is, you know, hard, and then soft. You know, you got to look for the soft aspect of it. When I turn it to a haigodachi here, punch, 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 hard. You know, soft. It accentuates the bird. You got to look for the bird in the kata. Yeah.
Excuse me, Richie. It's funny because, again, for months we've been talking about this, and you have been in the back room, and I don't think we ever said once, ever at an exam, they're too soft. It's always everyone's too dull.
Yes.
Everyone's too hard. So, you know, I personally loved incorporating more softness, and we were talking that Goju is actually 2/3 Chinese. We should be adding almost too soft, because 2/3 of Goju is Chinese. But everyone here is so hard that everyone fights to too hard. Everyone does kata to too hard. No one's soft. So I wish we had the problem that everyone's too soft and fluid. But everyone's so stiff and rigid. I think it's
a good point to bring it out, because if I looking back on, obviously, I love kata, and I love Tensho. I used to end every class, I'd get on the floor, Kyoshi, and I would do it fluid and soft. And that's what I found in the katas that I focused most on, was the fluidity and the softness. And you know, I can hit hard. You can be hard anytime you want. I was watching someone on YouTube, she sent me to, and a particular person, I know the person, and he's just looking for more, and he's trying to get more. And what he does is, and this happens, guys start lifting weights. They want to get stronger, and he's doing a front wheel kick, and it's just too hard, and he just loses the speed and the power out of it because he is too hard. You want to get hard, you want to get strong, be fluid.
Does that come with age? You know, no disrespect. Did you use that? Well,
Are you saying my technique is bad because of age? Yes.
I should say experience. Were you soft at these katas when you were a new black belt? Were you just as soft then as you are now?
Oh, no, what happens is, you know...
Like, are we to learn into this? Are we to learn to be softer?
Rich, I'd like to think so. You know what I mean? But I also smart enough to know I was not. When I was a Shogun, I was a crazy man. He thought I was crazy. Soft crap, soft. Everything was kill, even in the kata. So as time goes on, and hopefully the Shihan got a little smarter, and the age starts creeping in, you know, like me and Mr. Abrahams, I can see us doing kata a long time with these new ones because they don't require that much energy, all right? But the thing is, they do in certain instances. The key to these katas I'm showing you is we had 3 breathing katas. What you're seeing now are basically, like they call kimi katas, real focus, and very different than what we have. You know, I looked at the Gosho katas and I said, no, this is the way to go. It's got to be higher katas. All right, I mean, I got a lot to show you. I don't want to keep you too late, so let me just keep going. Where the hell was I? Okay, now this kata here is mine, and I went through the Japanese dictionary 100 times, and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. But yet, I always reverted back to Kankaku and Hangetsu. And Hangetsu, went on definitions, this and that, it's called half moon. Now, this is not the Hangetsu that Kiyoshis and I learned many, many years ago, all right? You know, that type of thing. This is a new version. I like the name, so I kept the name, but look for the half moon in the kata. Then it all makes sense, okay? Now, I'm probably at the point now that I'll start to stumble, so just make sure you just get me up to the point. Let's go over this. Half moon. Press down. Press down. Press down. Rai, Yura, breath. Rai, Yura, breath. Back to here. Interesting move. Very Chinese. Watch the blocks. As if it was one hand, all right? One hand. I love this move. Here, very classical. This is a version of your uke. The Shuchi, Kakiyuki. Any questions?
Can I see it 3 more times fast?
3 more more slow.
You know what?
Rewind the tape again.
What disappoints me is I can't give it the full blast
That's beautiful.
because the full blast would be nice, I'm sure. So there's a bunch of moves not familiar with, some softness, very good Juryo.
What a difference from.
Yeah. But the reason why I kept the name was the half moons. And this circle here, very Chinese, it's a Haryuki Teishuuchi without loading. I just slam it right up in someone's chin. I once taught how to eliminate a guy at school with Kiyoshi doing that. Yeah.
Did you give a name? I know you said it was your kata.
I'm giving you all. Yeah,
No, but did you give a name to this?
yeah, cool. Hangetsu.
You're keeping the name, right? Yes.
Hangetsu. Yeah, I'm keeping the name. I said, I looked for the name. Kuwawashi took me a while to find. I said, give me another bird. I found it. You know, and the sixth is, in my mind, there's 10 katas. Here's the sixth, all right? I'm talking because
Have a drink.
I'm stoked, okay? And I want to show you some quickly on Goju-Ryu, karate, katas, if we have time. This one is a pain in the tuchus. Hakusuro, Hakusuro, white crane, big deal, Chinese stuff. I wanted to specifically stop and tell you that I want you to look for the crane in the kata, okay? I try not to put too much fluff in there, but it is beautiful. There's a little fluff, but basically everything is a technique, okay? But the movements should basically, as if you ever seen a crane with long spindly legs, you know, and so forth. I'm not going to do that good of it because my legs are really muscular and thick.
Pretty.
All moves seem to derive from something that we've already learned. What was this?
This is a pec, backwards no kite. Now you got to visualize. You got to look at cranes, long beaks, you know, peck, 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 peck. But I researched this quite a bit. It's like a snapping the eyes with the fingertips, but yet it's got a bird-like motion to it. You know what I'm saying? Bird-like, bird-like, bird-like. You know. I'm slipping all over the place on this floor, but basically it's a really nice move. One leg, standing on one leg. I call these guns, but the nukites. And then it starts, the back slowing. Even the kabutos are exaggerated like a bird. Exaggerated. And then the backwards pecs. Okay. okay? It's a tough move. You gotta really turn first to get your balance. Okay? Then the last press.
Sure. You know, if on the surface, you know, if someone wasn't here, black belt, and they said, well, what'd you do yesterday? Or, you know, what'd you learn? Or, you know, I could say, oh, it's 6 new katas. But in reality, if you step back and look at what you're introducing, I feel like this kind of changes us a little bit. Like, I don't, is this, if I look at any other Goju style, do they have anything that you're doing here? Is this?
Let me take a little piece of gum and I'll explain something.
They all have cranes, but just to go over something, let's chance to take a little break. At my ranch in Florida, I have cranes there, and I have this other bird, and you said look for the bird, and I have this bird, it's like a crane bird. What it does is it gets on this branch, and it spreads its wings out, and it stands there, and I think to attract its mate, or it's usually over water, so maybe it shades and brings fish or something, but they'll just sit there like this, and when you were doing it, I'm picturing a ranch, we have these cranes, and they get on, they do exactly that, you know.
I'm researching, and I found a site that lists 5 Goju-Ryu, classical Goju-Ryu styles. Gogans, Ibuken, Shorikan, a couple others. I'm just checking out the katas. I get down and I go, what the hell is this? Under Yamaguchi is Hakutsoro, Takutoro, Chikotoro, or Kaku, Chinkaku, and that's, I went wild, all right? You can find Chinkaku on the internet. Goshi doing it. Chinkaku, C-H-N-K-A-K-O. Bird kata that, forget about it. I could not, I would need me and one of the Kiyoshi sitting in a room, pulling it off the internet because it's got to have 200 moves in it. But really, bird-like motion, but yet every now and then, a strong technique. It's the kata that he did at Gogen's sensei's funeral. If you ever have that video, at the end, there's some kata done by guys, Goshi comes out and does his kata, and it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. All right, take that out of the way. I'm not interested in that. Hakutsoro, a Gogen's kata. Can't find it, but I found a dozen Hakutsoros. All right? And I said, all right, Shita-Ryu, an offshoot of Goju-Ryu. You know, I found these offshoot katas, and they all doing Hakutsoro differently. And I says, all right.
Shihan, back in, going way back, Coney Island Avenue, didn't we have a crane kata back then?
We had, what do you call it, Jinshui? Didn't Jinshui start this way?
Yeah, no, we had, there was a crane kata. And I remember what had happened was, Rodin used to do it in the, he changed around. Coney Island Avenue we had, when I first started.
I remember doing a kata like this, but then again I said, stay away from that, because that's Karate Kid 1, and I don't want to do it. You remember? And talk about crane on a rock. I think he does it on a rock at one point. I said, no, I'm staying away from that. All right? I don't want any comparison to that. I want nothing to do with that.
There was one where you crouch all the way down, arms in front.
This is fluff. This is fluff. It's called fluff. All right? The bird is low with the wings covering the body.
That's what it looked like.
That's what I made it, trying to make it look like. And then it steps up, all right, on one leg. And that, I couldn't find anywhere. I said, you know, son, it'd be nice if you get all the way down and then open up the wings.
Yeah, and I thought it was like minimizing.
If it looked like that to you, then I accomplished what I wanted to
Yeah, and
accomplish.
it looked like minimizing time and hiding behind wings.
Exactly. Then you lift up to here, like this. Okay, we okay on that?
Percentage or something?
No, I was just wondering, because you were talking about the crane katas there. I remember learning about kata back when I was a kid. It's called the golden crane.
That was it, it's golden crane, wasn't
Golden crane, it's, you don't have to,
Show me.
it starts off like this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Urban,
that was it.
urban. Yeah, keep going.
I don't
You know, that's it. Yeah.
Coney Island Avenue, 42 years ago.
That's it.
That was it.
That's an urban kata.
That's it, I remember.
That's an urban kata that has lost its way through history and will stay there, okay? But you're right. That one move is the best move in the whole kata when you get down real low, because you used to do that. You get real low like
It's
that.
you'll appreciate this, it's the kata Rodin did in the toilet, and he came forward at the end, and when he added some stuff, and he went, and saliva dropped on the floor. For those who know, Sensei Rodin. And then after he finished the kata, he ran back, pulled his gi out, and wiped it up. But that was the kata. He added that and another one.
To go back to what you're saying is, going back to your initial question, is yes, we, in my own opinion, need a type of influence in Goju-Ryu Karate because 2/3 is Chinese, all right? If you take away what I just showed you, forget about the breathing katas because we know the importance there. If you take the last 3 away, you go, wow, it doesn't look like Goju-Ryu katas, you know, it looks right, correct, different. I want it different. I want you to be softer. I want you to take the macho man and the strong woman and come down a couple of notches and to be as soft as possible. By the way, I got stuff to show you that will blow you away, and maybe it is a good time for me to show you that, all right? If anybody has to leave, leave. You'd be missing the best part. All right, before I show you, I'm going to end that. I'm going to do something with Renchi Cohen called Kake, and I'm going to do something with Kyoshi Stu called Chute. What's Chute mean? Ju.
Hi.
Soft hand. We got problems here. All right, so here. I'm going to do these slow because I'm getting to the point that I have to lay down, okay? So let's look at the difference. I'm not going to do a full blast. Let's look at the difference of Sanseru. Remember, I told you through Seiyunchin, we look good, Sanseru changes. Okay, first of all, remember, this is going to be different rather than this, all right? So that's one. Let's see if I remember this concept. Look familiar? Now watch this. Different there. Watch. You pull this back to a Kamae. What is the biggest problem we have in Sanseru? Side kicks. Atrocious side kicks. Except for a couple of people who really throw good ones. So from here, what the hell's wrong with me? Okay, I'm getting tired.
Going back.
Slow it up. So you see the differences. I'd rather put the consensual in there because you guys are, except for the seniors, you're killing that kata with side kicks.
But Shannon, when I watched the old videos, I sort of, you said that's the way you learned it from Sensei Urban, correct?
We learned from Sensei Urban, then Gosei brought it to here. He brought consensus to here, which for the life of me, nobody liked. I said, let's go back to side kicks.
We used to do it from here with the kick, and we used to do with the circular side kick down. Consensu. It was all done circular. They were all low.
It flows better, it seems. Doing what you the consensus,
Not only that,
it kind of fits in a lot better.
instead of all of this happening with my head, it makes more sense in the side and in the consensus, all right? Just keep it in mind, all right? I'm going to try not to make too many mistakes on these, but you'll recognize the katas. I'm not doing it strong anymore, fellas, forget it. differences.
Do you have to trunk it?
What?
Do you want to trunk it at the end?
Funky.
This is,
Funky.
You did it.
I left it out?
No, you did it, Funky.
You did
I thought it
You did Funky.
You're talking about rising
Usually
fire.
it's
I went, oh, I went like this? I thought I front kicked.
You did.
Oh, you did.
No, I meant stiff. Usually we make emphasis to go to the face.
I went high?
It's a stiff kick.
Normal.
Yeah.
No, here.
It's a stiff
Okay.
kick.
We
Don't
used
go
to.
high, go ahead.
Okay, we should stiff. Okay. Sorry.
It's a difference between the kata. They're not saying to change it right now. There's a difference. It's a different
I
kata.
want to make you aware of these things.
It's a difference. I'm not saying change it. It's a different kata.
Okay. So we have two.
No, we'll let you know that.
Sid's going on.
He's gonna go back.
Hold it,
He's
hold
gonna
it.
go back to Hot Dog and teach
No,
us that.
no. Hold on. I disagree with you guys, all right? You have to know this before you leave Sydney.
He likes his consensus. He likes all his consensus.
You like this? Watch the old man do it. Very cute. Again, I'm going to cut the speed now. I did this because the first got this, I would have put something behind it. You forgive me, all right? Watch this. I can show you the safe part, but I'm not. Okay, let's knock off the rest of it. Any questions? But you see the differences? I hope you do. I'm almost finished. Hang in there. Now, normally what I do with Renchi Cohen is we get and take. But Renchi's always hurting me and always putting me in a compromising position. So I'm going to give to you. This is throughout Okinawa and Japan. It's called kake. We're doing the left leg out. Yeah. Looks simple enough. The only thing is, as time goes on, you start to blast it, which we're not going to do because the way I feel now, I will go downstairs. Okay? And you can do circles and so forth. And then we do wrists. Clasping, 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 like this. Okay. Now, we're going to do half circles. One. And steel.
So you set up a structure for sticky hands, basically, right?
Yeah. And steel. Now, that goes on and on. The stealing goes faster and faster until you get confused, you can't do it anymore. Now, the catch and release, he'll catch and I release, he'll grab me hard, harder than better, and I will get out of the grab. You continue to grab me. And you get out of the grip. Nice little exercise, thank you. That's cocky. Okay, now juke pad, it's a whole different ballgame. See what you recognize in this. Okay? This is the last thing we'll do, and then I'll just talk from there and we'll get out of here.
is there tension being provided on either side? Or
Tension,
like when you're coming in, is Kyoshi stopping it?
only to move it, move the limb. There should be absolutely no tension.
Do you feel
whatsoever.
any, is it tiring? It looks like it's tiring.
If you're doing it wrong, your shoulders are killing.
If you're doing it wrong, your shoulders are killing.
Wrong.
See, the thing with that, and Kiyoshi nailed it, like you say, any of this stuff, this isn't new. This is something that, I remember Kiyoshi, stupid stories, there'd come a point in my training when he'd go, you got it. And he'd say there's a part of the book that the pages turn blank. And we're just trying to put some writing on those pages because most people can't get it. And this was something Kiyoshi taught us years ago called spaghetti hands or called sticky hands. And we tried to do it with everybody, lighten up and relax. So when I'm doing that with Shihan, literally, there's no structure to it. Like when the way we called it was, there's a leader. And Shihan was the leader.
This is like a dance partner.
There's a leader. So Shihan would choose when to do everything. I'm just trying to stick to him like glue with no tension on my arm at all. Because if I have tension and he does his shift, I'll fall off him. So I'm just going along for the ride the whole time. And it's advanced, structured, sticky hands.
Okay.
I got two things first. How come he gets all this stuff that we used to have to do this? I remember I was going on top of but
And then everything's at a 10 short.
Which was amazing. I think this is phenomenal. We've been doing, like Kyoshi says, we've been doing it for years. I got pictures of Kyoshi D doing it with my son when he was 4 years old, 2 years ago. Sticky hands down in Florida. He was playing around and we were just doing sticky hands. And we've done it for years and just playing around. We never thought to put this in and put it into a lesson. I'm telling you now, you want to get better in the martial arts, not just fighting kata and everything. You do this. You develop that fluidness where you never. Kyoshi D and I, we'll do it. We can do it for hours. We've done it and never leaving. Their hands are like stuck together. It's like there's a bowl through it. And you work with a partner with this. It's a phenomenal exercise. You talk about getting, are we going to get soft? This will improve your kamita, your kata, everything. I love this. This is phenomenal.
Okay, let's do one more thing. Hopefully we do it. We're laughing at each other. We'll do it with our eyes closed. You just have to believe that our eyes are closed. Remember, the whole exercise is to stay stuck to the other guy's hand. All right? I'm sure if it messes up, it'll be my fault. But the thing is, you should be able. What we found working is when you put your eyes closed, very meditative. Whoa. Really, you reach the level of Mushin, where you have no thought in your mind. It's like unbelievable. And one day we did it, go, it's over. It was just beautiful. Of course, it takes a little work to do. So we'll close our eyes and slow it up a little bit. But we should always do it as slow as possible. This will be the last physical thing. I got a couple of notes to cover and we're out of here, okay? I'm sorry to keep it so long.
hands, there isn't really a leader. And what we're doing is, we're actually trying to strike in between all the time, and then you block it and strike and counter. You're kind of blocking and counter. And I guess it would be more difficult with no leader, everybody always trying this, but you also have to always maintain the thing. In all of this, it seems easier to go because you know, well, we're doing this right now, and then we're doing this, somebody's leading it.
Well, the way it works, there's a couple of sequences out of 10 short. Like here's one.
Yeah, I saw that.
Here's one. He leads on the sequence changes. But if you notice, even with this, there's one direction, then there's another direction,
Right.
I take over. So he's leading me, and we're not counting.
Right.
Whatever I want, I make the
Yeah.
switch, and I do the switch of direction, and he does the switch of technique.
But do we ever get to a point where we're doing, I would think it would be more advanced to,
All of a sudden, the hips doesn't hurt.
get on the floor. No, just in sticky hands, just here, I'm trying to strike, you're trying to strike.
Yeah, okay.
And you want to stay fluid, and it's more, because now you know where it's going. Now close your eyes, let's try this, I've never done it with our eyes closed.
Yeah.
You just want to keep
See,
contact.
and if I can touch him, it means I scored, basically.
You
So
still
we're
just
trying
want to
to,
keep contact? Is that the idea? You want to keep contact?
Yeah, I never want to lose.
never want to lose our contact here. But in his sticky hands, what I'm going to try to do is sort of heel palming all the time. Always striking, but if he tries to strike me, I'm blocking, and then I have to come in, and he's going to try to block me, and we're kind of doing this whole thing, but there's no structure in it.
See, like, practical sticky hands is that at any time, I should be able to sneak one in.
Yeah.
You know, and break the contact of the wrist, and I go for the strike.
There is a functional aspect to it. I have it. I'm not-
We got to talk about it. I love this.
I'm not going to
We
show
do
it.
but
But
never.
an aside, old film I found, two Chinese masters fighting in China. The crowd must have been 20,000 people in a ring. And they're announcing the two guys, and they come in with their uniform, all right? And they're gonna do Tai Chi, and it's a knockout, drag-out fight. And I'm like this. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna see hard Tai Chi, yeah. It was the worst thing I ever saw. Because there was no structure to the way they fought. One thing, Kyoshi brings up a very good point. What you do sometimes, you say to yourself, well, there's a functional aspect to it. There is, all right? And there is a functional aspect to this, I have it, okay? And I know how to counter off it also, but I just didn't want to go any further than this. The key to this is your ultimate idea or thought was to take advantage of your, just like Kake, take advantage of your, opponent with a change of momentum and a change of feel within what he's doing, okay? In fact, I left out one thing in Kake, and I'm sorry, I just want to get this in. I'll just do a couple of them. Where Kake starts in here, we start slamming, boom, boom, and then we start going into self-defense techniques, all right? We slam, we try to get the person, you know, and that's what they do. Constantly, one guy slams, of course, normally, Renshi does self-defense on me, but he always hurts me. So we're not going to do it today. We get time for all the classes. So that's another thing that has to be taught. I'm going to wrap this up. Sit down a second, and let's go. If you can't sit down, stay up. By the way, Brugger, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name. I know it's German origin. The guy who came up with the stuff I had you copy. You cannot contact him, all right, if you find him. He's already told me, he said, I do not want your students to contact me. He's basically said, I'm giving you a gift, and it is a gift. Everything comes through me. So if there is a specific question as far as translation, terminology, how to say a specific word that you think is valuable for us to know, come through me, I'll find out, or I'm going to say it's not valuable. Very simple, all right? So just as a wrap-up, we covered a lot, okay? The introduction to 6 katas. The emphasis on Sanchin and Tensho, all right? You've got Kurowashi, you got Hangetsu, you got Hakutsuru, okay? I'm going to give you handouts right now. I believe if we can do this, and I'm not too sure we can, okay, is that, what do you call it? Can we absorb all still doing the basic stuff, and our fear is that we're not doing the basic stuff. What does Shihan mean? Oh, by the way, when was everybody do bunkai? The bunkai, the 9 bunkai. There's only 1 or 2 guys shaking their head up and down. The rest of the people saying, what is he talking about? Remember the bunkais? They're all typed up. I introduced them 30 years ago. Richie Cohen and I have been doing it. All right? I wanted to make sure it still makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But I tell you something, on the 10 short bunkai, in the end, it's good. But the truth that Kiyoshi, Stu, and I did is even better, and that leads us into a whole different world of open hand fighting, open hand blocks, open hand thought as far as how to be soft. The greatest masters are the guys that when you attack, they go like this when you throw you on the floor. I mean, no energy, they just throw you, heave you all over the place. And hence, that's it. I introduced you, I could have done say bye, but I didn't want to. I could have introduced you to a couple of more Gojukai katas that I like, and this is going to take some doing between all the Kiyoshis to decide what are we doing. I personally, not that I have anything to say on the board, would like to make some changes, okay? We are sitting at the top of the hill, we can do whatever we want to do. I don't report to anybody. Whatever's best for the organization has always been my concern, and my one idea is to basically bring stuff out that you'll say, wow, this is cool. Now let's just take a look at this, and then we're gone, right? If you look at the Goju Kata list, is that a fire alarm? Yes.
I don't turn yellow.
I'll give you the light.
It'll go off.
Okay.
Okay, I put a preliminary list together of what katas should be done where. The Taikyoku katas, as you can see, through 7th class. And then when you get to green belt 6th and 5th class, I have Sanchin Dai Ichi, the short version. When you go to 4th class, I added Sanchin Dai Ni, which is the one we already do. On 3rd class round, Sanchin Dai San, Seiyunchin, and Sanseto. Each class will have a kata. Again, this is for discussion. That'll put you at Shodan Ho. To make Shodan, you need Seisan and Kensho Dai Ni. Seisochin and Nidan Ho. Kankaku and Kuwashi at Nidan. Seibai, Hangetsu, the new version, Sanchin. Gurufa, Hakusuro at Yodan. Even though some of you know this, and I don't mind that you do it, Subete at Godan. Other thing I gave you is what to look for in Sanchin Kata. As best as I could do in Sanchin Daiichi Ni, so about Sansi you could follow. Shine, this is where you smack the guy around a little bit. Okay. This is all for your Bibles that you all keep. Interesting to read this particular thing that says titles and degrees. Very, very, very interesting. It repeats some of the things I said, and it's part of history, which I think is great. And lastly, titles in the end. Okay. What I'd like you all to focus in on is to go back to the printout that you just made on terminology and proper way of pronunciation, pronouncing the words, and start to read it on a daily basis. And to incorporate, listen to me, incorporate the proper way of saying the terms in your classes.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to correct each other. It's going to take a little bit of some effort. That's basically it. We did good. 2.5, we did good. Let's fly.
Just 2 things. We're going to start Sunday classes again? Every other Sunday? Can we discuss this at some point? Because I'd like to start going back down again on Sundays. So.
Give me a date.
Okay, and to do katas and of course to learn these katas, because I think we should learn
Oh
these.
no, I want to teach these katas. I mean, it's not,
I want to learn this from you. So
these are not options. So if we to meet in 2 weeks, I'm sure Kiyoshi D had things to go over. We immediately go to the Sanchins, the 2 Sanchins, and make sure you got it down. Beat the hell out of it. Next time we meet, we knock out the 10 short down knee. You know, we keep going that way. We're working all the way up to Hakatsuru, if you'd like.
I'd like to suggest every other class we hold in Florida.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do when we're finished, Simon, maybe you can help me. I have a camera here. I'd love to take group shots before we leave, all right? Thank you. I'm sorry that more people couldn't make it. Abraham, you've got a tremendous responsibility to bring this back to Long Island with you. How you doing? I just saw something.
Okay, get it done soon. That's my responsibility. He's gonna get it soon.
I keep asking. Okay, now.
Just on that note too, just so you know, Mr. Simon is taping everything today. So hopefully in the next week or two we'll have some DVDs made, we'll get them out to Long Island, Maryland.
We'll get the DVD done.
Yeah.
We are going to be here every other Sunday. So next Sunday we're not here. What's following, put that on your calendar. I'm not going to keep sending emails out, even though we do send it out. Thank you for all coming. I'm sorry that Joshi Graham wasn't here, but he's protecting someone's life. Okay? Literally. Let's bow out. Face the wrenchies. Out to the wrenchies. Hey, let's take some pictures. Simon, you can shut that off and maybe grab this camera. Let's all move back with this out.